When we do our surveys of you at each of these symposia, and we ask you what you think and what we should be doing, the one theme that comes back over and over is that you would like more interaction with each other. You would like more small group discussions. You would like more time to be able to talk about certain things. So we've taken that to heart, and what we're going to do now is a 1-hour session. It's going to be led by two of my colleagues from the financial inclusion team at the foundation, and they're going to put you to work. Yesterday, we gave you, if you remember, just before lunch, the results of the survey. We sent you a survey before SoFI of this year. We asked you what you thought about the state of financial inclusion, and you came back with answers. So my colleagues are now going to work with you and to do something with those surveys, which will get you involved at your tables. You'll be able to talk to each other and then be able to report back in an innovative way. You will see what I'm talking about. Mark Wensley and Ruth Dueck-Mbeba are both senior program managers at the foundation. I'm going to call them on stage now, but I'm going to ask you as well to show a little love for Ruth because she's suffering from a sore throat. So if she sounds a little hoarse, that's fine. We love her anyway. So Ruth and Mark, come on out.
Ruth and I are your facilitators for this session today. In the audience engagement session yesterday with Lindsay and Michael, they shared findings from the 2017 SoFI survey. And you shared your thoughts on where you think client centricity has come, where we started and what the achievements have been. In a nutshell, you said, we've made a lot of progress, but there's a lot more to do to be client-centric. Some of you said, it's hard. Others offered examples of how you're putting client centricity into practice to address segmentation, product design, service delivery, leadership, KPIs. Today, we're going to do something a little bit different, and we're going to talk about what's missing from the conversation. SoFI participants often ask for more time to speak to one another. So this is your time, and this is your conversation to engage and to challenge and to learn from one another on these missing topics on client centricity. In the 2017 survey, we asked you, what topics have been missing from the conversation of the last 5 years? Here's what you said is missing. Okay. The value proposition to clients and how to measure success on this is the first. Getting to a business case for client centricity is the second. Institutional challenges persist. It's still hard to do. Let's talk about that. A focus on women and underserved segments are missing from this conversation. And effective client-centric policies for financial inclusion are also missing from the discussion. During the session, we're going to give the floor back to you. So the next 25 minutes are reserved for you to discuss with one another what these missing topics mean. I'll hand over to Ruth, who will explain how we're going to do this.
Thanks, Mark. It's been an exciting morning that we've been following from the address from the Governor of the Central Bank of Ghana and also this lively discussion on CNBC. We're going to give you a chance to continue that conversation with one another, but in very focused ways. So moving from the big picture of West Africa and Ghana, we're going to come back to the room and give you your chance to speak with one another. So based on what we heard was missing, we're hoping that in the next 25 minutes, table discussions can focus these 5 questions. You said that the business case and the propelling value proposition for customers was something that you have not heard enough about. So we're going to have one group of you discuss the whole area of what are the critical drivers to unlock value for customers. In your experiences, what have been the successes and challenges that you face? A second group of you are going to meet to talk about the business case issues. What are some of the realistic long-term, multi-segment, and client-centric strategies for all commercial providers, whether banks or telcos or other providers, that serve customers but really make good business sense? What have been your successes, challenges, and issues? A third group is going to be assigned the question of institutional challenges. And we started that discussion yesterday and we'll carry it on today. How can leadership in the financial sector harness talent, expertise for innovation, change, and most importantly, scale and financial inclusion? Group number 4 will address a gap that a lot of you identified. What are some of the appropriate and effective ways to expand access to finance for women, for young people, for other underserved groups, for smallholder farmers? What has worked? What has not worked? And finally, the 5th group is going to go back to the topic of this morning and discuss how can financial service providers more effectively engage with and interact with policymakers and regulators. And what does a client-centric enabling environment look like? So, how are we going to handle this? We will divide this room into 5 sections. You will be given 20 minutes to discuss your question. Each table will assign a table scribe who will document. And on your tables, you're getting 2 pieces of paper. You're getting a note-taking form where the scribe will summarize some of the conversations. And most importantly, each table is getting a tweet card. Because what we'd like to do after your table conversations is not to have an extended long plenary, but to have your summary and your feedback come back to us in 140 characters that we will live tweet at that time. All right, over to you. The rest of you have a few minutes to finish your tweets, but section number 1. Mark, can you please start moving around section number 1? What are the critical drivers to unlock value? Let's hear your tweet, please. Mark?
Okay, section number 1. Who has something to tell the rest of the world?
All right, this is the question of number 1. What are some critical drivers to unlock value for customers? And our group, we say that it's about meeting customer needs. It's about being flexible, reliable, and accessible. It's about transparency, about products that build trust at all times. It's about service delivery. And in terms of
Thank you. 140 characters.
Thank
What's
you.
the tweet there? All right. Is there another tweet?
So I will just repeat that, though, just for everyone's benefit. So it's about meeting customer needs, being flexible, reliable, and accessible, transparency, and building trust at all times.
Thank you.
So thank you very much.
Another table. Anyone else who has something to say? 140 characters.
Trust demonstrates value, relationship, linked to goals, solving problems.
Okay, here we have, again, trust, really being able to demonstrate your value, linking it to goals, but fundamentally solving a problem. We've heard this on the stage.
Hashtag customer value means listening, solving real problems, hashtag time, hashtag stress, hashtag distance, hashtag cost.
We're hashtagging CGAP's Customer at the Center guide here.
It has to be fast, secured, convenient, affordable, and usable by the customer. Thank you.
Thank you. Bringing it back to usability. So I think for that, we have our first group talking about value proposition.
Take a few tables from section 2, talking about the business case. We will ask you to stand, read your 140-character tweet, please.
So ours is journey to the customer journey, trust, knowledge, know your client, value your client, engage your client, build and respect your client.
So improving credit scoring algorithms to reduce digital credit addiction pandemic.
Thank you. So really utilizing data to understand our customers better.
Tech extends reach, but personal touch needed. Competition will force delivery and innovation. Collaboration required. And if we still have characters, hashtag clients at the center, hashtag SoFI2017.
Wonderful. But definitely hearing the convergence of values and technology coming up for the business case.
We're bang on 140 characters if you don't look too closely at the punctuation. Create open ecosystems, build partnerships, and satisfy everyone in the ecosystem. Challenges are regulation, appropriate technology, financial education, and digital literacy.
Wonderful. So bringing in the ecosystem and that it needs to be open if you want to make this business case work.
And we had some esteemed members from Equity and Postbank here to inform our tweet. So banks are increasingly looking to strategic partnerships to more efficiently reach low-income customers through rural agents, digitizing savings groups, and building longer-term financial relationships.
We've asked, how can leadership in the financial sector harness the talent and expertise for innovation, change, and scale in financial inclusion? What have the successes and challenges been?
Leadership needs to talk to innovators, upskill in order to adapt to the pace of technology and avoid stifling financial inclusion through overregulation.
So again, but here, really talking about, leadership, talking to innovators who are willing to take risks, who are willing to do things differently, and who will really put a fire to the feet of organizations to bring change.
Okay, open tweet. To encourage innovation, foster a culture of engagement at all levels of the org, and leverage practices and talent pools from other industries. Close tweet.
So we believe better leadership requires a collaborative effort between multiple stakeholders. And as we heard today, we also need to break up silos. So we have hashtag leadership for financial inclusion is a collaborative effort, hashtag policymakers, hashtag government, hashtag FSPs, hashtag customers.
Wonderful. So again, the ecosystem and partnerships, which has been such a dominant theme in these discussions, is coming back as a function of leadership. What are appropriate and effective ways to expand access to finance for women and other underserved groups? What works? What doesn't work?
Women and youth's needs and aspirations are critical conversations before offering the right financial and non-financial services. Listen, co-create, educate, empower.
SHFs, these are smallholder farmers, need integrated, tailored solutions delivered at appropriate times to support diversity of income by creating support infrastructure and connectivity.
Okay, so you're bringing the conversation back to the broader set of needs and really thinking about why they're excluded in the first place, which connects with our leadership discussion about stakeholders and really being able to think about partnerships.
So keep the dynamics of the client in mind in designing and delivering.
Great. So keep the client in mind when designing and delivering. Ken, do we get that? Awesome.
So we had, to reach women and other underserved groups, the conversation needs to start with their actual needs rather than with the products we think they need.
I was fired by my group for not saying the second one. So the second one is really powerful. Create institutional feedback loop, research, test, and always listen. Let it be continuous.
Thank you. And what if you're just not working with underserved groups? How do you create that feedback loop?
So what we're saying is that if you research, then you continue to engage the customer and you continue to listen to the customer and you actually have this as institutionalized. It's part of your culture. The staff, when they are working with the women, they're actually collecting this information and feedbacking to the whole institution, and it's helping to refine the delivery processes and the products, and you keep building continuous improvement.
The question is, how can financial service providers more effectively engage and interact with policymakers and regulators? What does a client-centric enabling environment look like?
So we said client-centric enabling environment has industry, civil society, and government working together, continuously improving services for customers.
So again, really looking at the broad stakeholders to work together.
So the tweet would be effective advocacy channels through public-private partnerships for client-centric policies. And the client-centric policies that we talked about were really around know your client policies, that governments could create the right mechanisms for building that national database that will really help financial institutions, policies that would bring down the cost of financing, and mechanisms to update regulations to keep up with the changes in the financial environment.
Yeah, our tweet is create dialogue and opportunities for applied learning with regulators. Hashtag financial inclusion, hashtag SoFI2017.
Great. Hashtag, I guess, sandbox too.
We say hashtag SoFI2017, client-centric enabling environments strive for customer protection and positive market conduct driven by customer-centric outcomes, agreed by country-level Financial Institution Association of Financial Service Providers that work with regulators and use sandboxes for experiments.
I think we've done a tour now around what's missing. We asked you before coming in what you really wanted to talk about. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Ruth to wrap up.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed that. Please do leave your tweet cards, if they haven't been collected, at the tables and your notes. Our ushers and volunteers will come to collect them, and we will be synthesizing them and reflecting on them for the final symposium report. We do hope the conversation continues over lunch. Roger, do you want to give us our instructions next about what follows this? So thank you very, very much, and enjoy the rest of the afternoon.